Morning.
Okay, folks, it's about that time to get started, to get the call started. So I'm going to go ahead and get it going since we're all on time. Just want to remind everybody, whenever you write a piece of business, always post it on GroupMe. If it's a $20 premium, post it. If it's a $200 premium, post it. It helps me keep the production figures that we recognize on Friday mornings that much more accurate. And everybody always wants to be recognized for a job well done. So I'm going to go over the top producers for this past week. For any new people on the call, our weeks always start Friday morning and they end the following Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So going by what's been reported, if we have in the number one position, Mr. Gary Blazer, $2,373.72. Right behind him in number two is Joshua McLean at $1,932. And then we have Mr. Sia Jaffrey with $1,385.76. And then honorable mention, we've got Katina Gooden, Ray Coggins Jr., Marlo McLean, Larry McLean, and Billy Burns. And I want to recognize Billy because she made her very first sale this past week, which was good. Let me cut this phone off real quick. There we go. So just as a reminder, always post your production up on GroupMe so we can keep up with everything that much more accurate. Want to remind everybody, April the 30th, we have our quarterly recruiting and award ceremony here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Details are posted every few days up on GroupMe. Same place we had it last time. We have these every quarter. And you want to come, even if you don't think you're going to get any awards, still come and bring people with you, whether they're licensed or non-licensed. Bring people with you that need a good opportunity and they have honesty and integrity and a great work ethic and they're coaching. Bring them with you so they can see more about what we're all about because we want to grow and keep growing and growing. The first 3 months of this year, January, February, and March, each month has been bigger in production than the previous month, which is good. For the month of April, we've got over 100,000 issued already, which is terrific. And we want to keep growing by adding new people to the team. And we want to sharpen our own skills so we can get more production per agent at the same time. With all that being said, I want to talk a little bit about objections. You know, objections is the one thing that we all hate. Well, I say we all hate. There's some people that like objections. But objections come with the territory. You have to stay focused, laser focused. Don't let it bother you. Don't let it upset your emotions. Do not let it upset you psychologically or mentally or whatever. You have to be thick-skinned, as they say. Focus, laser beam focus on doing your presentation, so letting the numbers work its way to the surface. Now, going back to the subject at hand of objections, everybody hears objections. It doesn't matter if you're the number one agent in the country, one of the top 20 agents in the country. It doesn't matter if you're in the bottom 10% of the country in production. Everybody hears objections. Whether I talk to the people, you talk to the people, or Ron Powell himself is talking to the people, everybody hears objections. You got to remember, objections just come with the territory, and they're not. You got to remember, you want to ignore the first few objections. You know, we've heard that before. I'm sure most everybody's heard that before. Ignore the objections and keep going, and that's true. And I'm going to give the same old example I've given before. I'm a guy that doesn't really like shopping that much, but let's say I got to go buy a dress shirt, for example, at the mall, and I go to the mall and I'm at a fine men's shop and I'm looking for a dress shirt. And while I'm looking around at the dress shirts, the salesperson walks up to me and says, "Can I help you, sir?" And immediately, without even thinking, my reflexive answer is, "No, thanks, I'm just looking." I mean, I think most guys will probably say that usually. Probably some of the women do too. But my immediate answer is no thanks, I'm just looking. And when you hear me say that, you think, well, this guy's not a serious buyer at all. He looks like he's just killing some time. And the truth of the matter is, I'm a red hot buyer. That's the only reason I'm there looking through the dress rehearsals is because I have to buy one. I'd rather be 10 other places than there at the mall, but I'm there to buy a shirt. And in 10 or 15 minutes, I will be at the cash register making a purchase for a shirt. But to that inexperienced salesperson on the floor that asks, may I help you, sir? The inexperienced one, when I say no thanks, I'm just looking. With the inexperienced person, he just kind of walks away. He says, okay, let me know if I can help you. And he walks away, and he kind of ignores me, the client or the potential customer. It's sort of the same thing when you go work leads. If you go work a lead and you're doing telesales, and in the first 60 seconds, they say, oh, we've already got that taken care of, or we've already changed our mind. Or if you're knocking on the door, working a lead in the field face-to-face, and you hear the same things like, oh, we've changed our mind, or we've already got it taken care of. The inexperienced agent will do what the inexperienced salesperson does over the men's store. The inexperienced agent's going to say, well, okay, here's my business card. Call me if I can help you. They walk away, and they're not anywhere close by, and they've lost a sale. Now, let's compare that to what the experienced salesperson does. At the fine men's clothing store, if an experienced salesperson walks up and asks me, can I help you, sir? And my reflexive answer right off the bat is, no thanks, I'm just looking. He'll say something, okay, well, I'll be right over here. Let me know if I can help you. And he doesn't just walk away to the other side of the men's shop or the other side of the store. He stays hovering around in close proximity, not enough to crowd my space, but he's close enough where I can look over and say, hey, let me ask you a quick question. So he might be, 15 or 20 feet away, pretending to be straightening up some of the merchandise on the shelf or appearing to be doing some work, but really he's there knowing that if I have a question, he can be Johnny on the spot and answer it. How does that relate to an experienced insurance agent? Well, and I'll use myself as an example because I have experience. There's no magic to that. It's just you do it, get the repetitions in. If I'm talking to a lead, doesn't matter if it's telesales or face-to-face, and they say, something like, oh, we've already got that taken care of. Well, I'm going to say, no problem. Most people do. My job is just to share the free information you requested. It takes just a couple of minutes. May I come in, please? That's for face-to-face. If it's on telesales, I'm going to say, no problem. Most of the people I speak, if they say I've already got to take care of on the phone, I'm going to say, no problem. Most of the people I speak with already have it taken care of. My job is just to share this free information that you requested. And you keep marching forward in your presentation and your conversation. You keep going forward as if you never heard the objection. Whenever Ms. Jones gives you an objection, you address it, you acknowledge it, and then you just keep on talking as if you never even heard the objection. You definitely want to acknowledge it. Otherwise, she's going to feel like you're not listening to her. So if she says, I don't have any money today, no problem, Miss Betty. Most people don't have any money today either. They're waiting for the third. My job is just to share this free information with you. Takes just a few moments. May I come in, please? So that's kind of an example, maybe not the best example in the world, but it's kind of an example why you ignore the first few objections because they just don't mean anything. But once you get inside the house or once you get into the conversation, Miss Jones is going to warm up to you. She's going to be less likely to give you objections, although the objections will still come. No matter how much warm up you have, there's still going to be objections. You just have a lot less objections. And then you start thinking, well, which objections are real and which objections don't mean much at all. The easiest way to tell that is if I'm talking to Miss Jones and every time I ask her, which plan do you want to leave? Which one of these plans do you want to leave to your daughter, Kathy? For example, if Kathy's our beneficiary. And I say, which one of these plans do you want to leave to Kathy? If she says I can't afford it, I'm going to say, I understand, Miss Betty. A lot of people can't afford these plans. And then, I'm going to talk a little bit about, but we want to remember this is about death. We can't change that. We're all going to pass one day, whether we want to or not. And when you pass away, Kathy's going to be at the funeral home dealing with this. And it's going to be a bad day. Which one of these plans would you like to leave your daughter, Kathy? And I go right back in asking for the check, basically. And if she says I can't afford it after doing that 3 or 4 cycles, I know she's probably telling me the truth, because that's the only objection she's given me. I cannot afford it. She didn't say, let me think about it. She didn't say my children, I have to talk to my children. She didn't say I've got plenty. She kept saying only one objection. I can't afford it. So in my mind, I'm thinking she's telling me the truth. Now, on the other hand, if she says the first cycle, she says, I cannot afford it. And then on the second go around, when I asked for the check again, she says, well, I need to talk to my daughter. And then a few minutes later, when I go to the third cycle and ask for the sale again, and she says, I've got plenty of insurance. And a few minutes later, when we go in the fourth cycle later, she says, another excuse. I got to think about all this. When I hear those different excuses, and the key part is the different excuses. When you hear the different excuses each cycle, all of those are just smoke screens. None of those 4 different objections are the real deal. None of those are the real objection. She just says it, but that's not what's really holding her back in the back of her mind. So what you can casually say is, Miss Betty, I understand. In addition to the money, what else do you have on your mind? And that'll kind of flush out whatever else is in the back of her mind that you're not aware of. Miss Betty, I understand. I understand perfectly. Now, in addition to the money, what else do you have on your mind? And that will usually allow her to come on out and tell you what's really on her mind, what's really holding her back. And what's really holding her back might be something that you were not even anticipating. But you always want, whenever you hear an objection, whether you think it's a real deal objection or a smokescreen objection, I always say, hey, I understand, Miss Betty, or I agree with you, Miss Betty. Acknowledge it, and then carry on your conversation as if you did not hear it. You'll be surprised if you do this business long enough where Miss Jones was telling you all up and down the first 5 minutes. Well, I don't have any money today. I'm not going to do anything, blah, 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 blah. Most agents, they just say, okay, well, here's my business card. Call me if I can help you. But the trained professional, they know what's going on. They either know what's going on because they were on this call or they've been around the block a few times. And they'll say, no problem, Miss Betty, I understand. I'm not here to sell you anything. My job is just to share this free information you requested. That's what I get paid to do. And it doesn't take but just a few moments. Anyway, man, come in, please. And you get inside and you have a conversation, you have a warm up, you have a conversation, and that's important. It's a conversation with Miss Betty about the high cost of death. We share with her all the great features about Legacy, everything Legacy does, and the 4 family members that are added to that. There's no age restrictions. There's no health restrictions. Legacy savings start on day 1, even if the policy doesn't start for 3 years later because it's guaranteed issue. Legacy always starts on day 1. And when you explain all this stuff to her, and she's heard everything, and maybe she asks a question or 2 along the way, she takes out a plan with you. And after you've got everything signed up and ready, and you leave the house, or you hang the phone up. You sit there and reflect for a few moments, say, well, this lady was telling me she wasn't going to do anything because she's got plenty of insurance. But after I talked to her a little bit in a non-threatening, casual, conversational way, shared with her about what Legacy does for the family, the benefits, painted some mental pictures about how when she passes away, the family's going to be at the funeral home, and it's going to be the saddest day of the children's life because they've lost their mother and she's not coming back. When I paint those mental pictures and have my conversation, lo and behold, Miss Betty takes a plan out. 45 minutes earlier, she was not going to take a plan out from anybody because she had not heard the sales presentation / conversation. She had not heard all the benefits of Legacy. And nobody had painted any mental pictures in her brain recently about the high cost of funerals and the pain and the suffering her family is going to experience when that time happens. But because I sat down and spoke with her, I painted some mental pictures. Her children at the funeral home the day after she passes, crying because mama's gone and she's not coming back. I painted the mental pictures of how Legacy saves a lot of money on the casket, maybe $2,000 to $4,000 savings just on the casket alone, because the casket's locked in at $2,000 with Legacy. And once Miss Betty takes a plan out, her casket's $2,000 forever. Doesn't matter how long she lives. There's over 200 caskets to pick from. We tell her there's not a funeral home in America with a selection that large, but we've got over 200. If you have that file downloaded to your iPad and do them face-to-face, you can open the file up and just slowly scroll and look at all the different pictures of all the different types of caskets. And let her know that, when you pick the casket you like, Miss Betty, that way nobody in the family is going to be arguing about which casket to get mama, because you picked out what you wanted way ahead of time. And the casket you picked out way ahead of time, that goes to the funeral home within 24 hours. There's no charge for shipping. If you're going to be buried in Hawaii or Alaska, they say allow up to 48 hours. But everywhere else in the United States, it's there within 24 hours. And there's no charge for shipping. And we tell Miss Betty this makes things so much easier for her children on the saddest day of their life. There's no arguing about which casket to get mama. Nobody's got to guess, I wonder which casket mama would want us to pick, because you've already done that, Miss Betty. Everything is so much smoother, so much easier for your children. Plus, Legacy has something called the Wish Team, and they negotiate the price of your funeral. Doesn't matter if you're going to be cremated or buried, they will negotiate the price of the funeral, and they're going to spot check the price of funeral homes within about a 40 or 50 mile radius. And they get this information from these funeral homes usually within an hour or two. It's extremely fast, surprisingly, very fast. And they provide this information to your family. And your family can look at the list and they know which funeral home has the best price. Even if you have a funeral home that has been handling your family's funerals for 30 or 40 or 50 years, and y'all always use the same funeral home, if that funeral home that you've been using, your family's been using, if they are not the cheapest, Legacy will still negotiate with that funeral home and let them know that the family really would like to use this funeral home because they've been using them for years and years, but funeral home ABC over here is $312 cheaper. Can y'all match the price? Or they might say funeral home A is $1,142 cheaper. Can you match the price? Normally the funeral home will match the price because they do not want to lose their sale. That's their sale. And even though they might knock $1,000 off the price of the funeral, they're still making money. They're just not making as much off of that one funeral. But for them, just like it is for us, a half a loaf is better than no loaf at all. Like when we use the ultimate prefer to move a competitor out of the way. And so, you have a conversation, Miss Betty, you're painting pictures. It's a conversation. It's not a fancy, slick sales presentation. Slick presentations might have worked 30 or 40 years ago, but in today's world, people just want to hear the truth. They get bombarded every day with advertisements for this, telemarketers for that. Just be down to earth and have a human conversation, smile a little bit, get them to laugh a little bit, and tell the truth for sure. Because most of these senior citizens, they've had enough salespeople in their lifetime buying different products, whether it's furniture, cars, other insurance policies, whatever, that they can normally smell a rat. They can smell someone, they can tell when someone's not being full disclosure. So never mislead the people. Tell them the truth. If it's a guaranteed issue with a 3-year waiting period on natural death, share that with excitement. Miss Betty, even though you had breast cancer last month, we can still get you qualified for the guaranteed issue plan. Now, let me share with you how this plan works. As you know, most other carriers out there, because you had your breast cancer last month, they're not going to even talk to you. We can. And the legacy features that I've already shared with you a little while ago, those start on day one. As soon as everything's in force, the very first day, the savings with legacy starts right then and there for you and up to 4 family members that we talked about a little while ago. Now, there's 2 ways you can pass away, either a natural death or or accidental death. Natural death or accidental death, Miss Betty. Now, accidental death is like getting killed in a car wreck, drowning, some kind of accident. And for accidental death with this guaranteed issue, even though you had breast cancer last month, even though you're still undergoing some chemotherapy treatment, accidental death is enforced on day one. So if you get killed in a car wreck, for example, the very first day you have your policy, it's going to pay out. No questions asked within 24 hours most of the time. Plus, for accidental deaths, your plan pays double automatically. So if a person had a $10,000 plan, it pays $20,000 if they're killed in an accident, for example. Now, the only other way you can pass away if you don't die in an accident is what they call natural death. Natural death, all that means, Miss Betty, is if you die of old age or health reasons. That's what's called natural death. Now, with this guaranteed issue policy on the natural death, if you pass away during the first 3 years, the company's going to refund every penny you paid in, plus, now get this, they're going to add 10% interest to that money you paid in. You know, Miss Betty, if you try to put that money in the bank each month, you're not going to get nearly 10% interest, but the insurance company pays you 10% interest on that money you paid in the first 3 years. And then, of course, at midnight, at the end of the 3rd year at midnight, the natural death is also a full benefit. Pretty good, isn't it? And she'll probably say, well, yeah, I see. You know, just because you got breast cancer, you know, I know you've had a lot on your mind, but one thing you can feel good about is we're here to help you. Just like our commercial on TV says, the senior care plan that we talked about earlier, Miss Betty, ages 0 to 85, cannot be turned down for any reason. Now, that doesn't mean your policy is at age 85. That's just saying if you're 85, you can still get a policy, but if you're 86, you cannot get a policy. It's too late then. So that's what the 0 to 85 means. So don't let that confuse you. Because once you get a plan, it doesn't matter if you live to be 150 years old, the plan's going to be with you the whole way. You know, as long as you make your monthly premium, you're okay. Pretty good, isn't it, Miss Betty? And I'll say it a few times, it's pretty good, isn't it, Miss Betty, using what we call tie downs. You know, tie downs is just getting Miss Betty to agree with you on some minor things, because if she's agreeing with you on minor things, it makes it a little bit easier for her to agree with you on the major things, which is at the very end. Miss Betty, which one of these plans do you want to leave to your son, John? It makes it easier for her to go ahead and get a sale with me. And that's what I want, of course. Briefly, I want to talk about T in the lead a little bit. You can't really T a lead on telesales, but you can in face-to-face. You know, you go see, it doesn't matter if you have an appointment with Miss Betty, if you're door knocking. It doesn't matter if she's home or not home. you always go knock on the next door neighbor's door. You know, if Miss Betty's not home, that's usually the way it works out. She's not home. You leave a delivery note on her door with your phone number and stuff so she can call you back when she gets in. Then you walk over to the next door neighbor, and most of the people in Miss Betty's neighborhood received the same card that she did, but she's the one that mailed it back, and nobody else mailed it back. For every 1,000 of these direct mail cards that are mailed out to people aged 50 to 80 with incomes of about 45,000 and less, for every 1,000 that are mailed out, usually about 10 to 18 come back on the average, not very many. So when Miss Betty's, when you go see Miss Betty, she's in the neighborhood, most everybody in the neighborhood got the same direct mail piece because senior citizens usually stay pretty much in the same neighborhoods. 45,000 and less incomes are pretty much in the same neighborhood also. So most of the people got the card, they just didn't mail it back. So when you go see the lead, whether they're home or not home, you go knock on the next door neighbor's door. And if a man comes to the door, I'm gonna say, yes, sir, I'm hoping you can help me. I'm trying to catch up with your neighbor, Betty Jones, with some free information she sent off for. And I'm having trouble catching up with her. Do you know when she's normally home? And just hush. Don't keep talking, just hush. The neighbor's gonna say something like, well, she's out of town, I believe. Or she's in a hospital. Or she doesn't get home after 2 o'clock each day. Or he may say, I don't know, she comes and goes all the time. I hardly ever see her, whatever. So whatever he tells you, and it gives you a little ammunition to know when's the best time to come back to catch Miss Jones at home. After 2 o'clock, no problem. But while I've got the next door neighbor in front of me, and I know there's a good chance he got the card himself, he just didn't mail it back, I'm gonna look at him and say, by the way, sir, I don't think we got your card back. Have you mailed it in yet? By the way, sir, I don't think we got your card back. Have you mailed it in yet? And 99 times out of 100, he's going to say, what kind of card? Well, what's it about? I say, well, sir, this is that free information. I emphasize free. This is that free information about the Social Security death benefit, the high cost of funerals and the state regulated plans, and also the other information on how people all over North Carolina are now saving $4,000 to $6,000 on their funerals. Takes a couple minutes to show it to you. May I come in, please? I don't say insurance because people get turned off by insurance. Nobody wants to talk about insurance. I don't want to talk about insurance unless we're talking about selling final expense insurance. Then I'm all ears. Otherwise, I don't want to talk about insurance, and nobody else does either. So don't even use the word insurance. These are state regulated plans because they're regulated by the State Department of Insurance. So just to kind of quickly review, and it's the same words every single time. I don't care if I was Tina Lee today, last year, or next year. It's going to be, by the way, sir, I don't think we got your card in the mail yet. Have you mailed it in? And he's going to almost every time, maybe one time out of 100, he's going to say, no, I haven't gotten around to it. Or yeah, I mailed it in yesterday. But most of the time he's going to say, I don't know if I even got one of them cards. What's it all about? Well, sir, this is the free information about the Social Security death benefit, the high cost of funerals, and the state regulated plans. I also have that free information on how people all over Pennsylvania are now saving $4,000 to $6,000 on their funerals. Anyway, it takes just a couple minutes. May I come in, please? And don't forget to ask, may I come in, please? Because if you forget to say, may I come in, please, they may not just say, come on in. They're just going to look at you and you're looking at them and you're thinking to yourself, come on, man, open the door up. But, you got to guide them along. Just like we guide them along when we're sitting down doing a presentation, having a conversation, and painting mental pictures. In a way, we're guiding them along down the path toward that sale. So you got to remember, may I come in, please? That's from face to face. And if you tell your lead, you're going to make more money, trust me. you're going to make more money whether you want to or not, basically. Because if you got 20, and I'm using this for face-to-face right now, if you're working 20 direct mail leads, which is the bread and butter of our face-to-face agents, and 20 leads a week is what the average agent works. The top producers in the country, they're working, 40, 50, and 60 leads per week, but the average agent works 20, so I'm gonna use that as an example. If you work 20 leads and you're average or above average at what we do, you're gonna get about 4, 5, occasionally 6 sales per 20 leads, and that's it. However, if you're the same agent, you go tee all 20 leads, you'll be getting about anywhere from 1 or 2 or maybe 3 extra sales if you're lucky that week. So when you tee the leads, you find out you're getting about 5 to 8, sometimes 9, but you're getting about 5 to 8 sales per 20 leads rather than 4 to 6 sales per 20 leads. And every time you make an extra sale, let's face it, you're making an extra $300 to $500 to $600, depending on the size of the premium. And if you make just 1 extra sale a week, well, that's an extra $300, $400, $500 you put in your pocket just for 1 extra sale that week. If you average 2 extra sales per week, you're putting an extra $600 to $1,000 in your pocket that week. and that's $600 to $1,000 extra that week in your pocket by picking up 2 additional sales, teeing the lead, and always asking for referrals. So when you're out working every week, and whether it's a good day or a bad day, whether the people are nice or the people are mean, doesn't matter. Strive to get those 1 or 2 extra sales every week that come along in addition to the sales from the lead itself. That's kind of all I want to share with everybody today. I know I'm rambling on. This is Easter weekend. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I've shared or discussed? Or does anybody have any questions about anything they came across this past week and they want some advice or coaching on it?
This is Billy. Hi, everybody. Is this recorded?
That's the question for Larry McLean. I think it is.
May I get a copy of it?
I'm sure Larry would be glad to share it with everybody.
Yeah, the copy is on our YouTube page. Who was that? Asked that question.
Can you share with her the address of that again, please?
Who was that asked that question?
This is Billy
Okay,
Burns.
yeah, I'll take care of you, Billy.
Okay.
Hey, put your direct message me your number and your email, please.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay.
You know how to do that right here in Zoom?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a quick question. This is Michelle. As far as getting leads, we can get them every day now instead of just Tuesdays and Thursdays. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Hey, Greg, can I ask Larry a question?
No. Sure, you can ask him a question. Go ahead.
Larry, can you send me a copy of that? I missed about 5 minutes while I had to step away, and he was talking about the legacy services, and I was wondering if you could send me the YouTube link as well.
Yeah, I got you, Ray. I'll see your number and your email right here in the chat. I got you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Greg.
Where you located at, Ray? What city and state you in?
I'm in North Carolina. I'm close to Greensboro, a little town called Liberty.
Oh, you are? Okay. Greensboro.
Yes, sir. Yep.
A lot of leads up there in Guilford County.
Yeah, I'm starting to work a little bit.
All right.
Ray has a lot of talent. As soon as he buckles down and focuses on this, he's going to be probably one in the top 20% of our producers. He's real good with talking to people.
Was Ray at our?
There's no pressure on you, Ray. I'm just speaking the truth. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't say it.
Well, thank you, Greg.
I say what's on my mind most all the time.
Was Ray?
I
Was
was in
Ray
that-
was Ray in Raleigh?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes, he was at the last one, huh?
He was there?
Yeah,
Okay,
I shook your hand, Larry.
okay.
Yes, sir. I enjoyed the meeting and you did a great job and looking forward to seeing all you guys again. What is it, April 30th?
30th. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Who else has a question or comment or anything they want to ask?
Well, I have a comment and that's why I wanted Larry to send. I missed about 5 minutes and you were talking about you had kind of expanded a little dialogue about some of the things that Legacy does that a lot of people, I won't say we take it for granted, but just as new people, we don't know all that goes on. There's a lot of power in the Legacy aspect of our business. It's probably the best thing I've ever seen in terms of how to separate ourselves from the others. There's some great companies out there that do similar to what we do, but I think we're one of the few, if not the only one, that has something like Legacy.
We are the only one that has something like Legacy. The closest person or the closest carrier would be the Lincoln Heritage. They have the Funeral Consumer Guardian Society. They call it the FCGS. And what it basically does is the FCGS negotiates the price of the funeral, whether it's a burial, cremation, just like Legacy does. And that's where Ron Powell, our president / CEO, got the idea of Legacy, because Lincoln Heritage had the Funeral Consumer Guardian Society, FCGS. So he came up with something that was similar, but just much better, you know.
Yeah, it's much better. It's, in my opinion, Lincoln's got a good program. I'm not going to kick them to the curb at all,
Good
but
company.
but ours, having seen theirs and looking at what we have, it's just we've got a fantastic program with Legacy.
That's one of the reasons our agents have a higher closing percent than agents with other carriers, because the other agents, they're good, but they don't have Legacy in their ammunition. And when they come across someone that doesn't need insurance, they mailed the card in, they don't know why they mailed the card in, they were curious, they didn't really read the card, whatever. Most of those other agents, all they can say is, well, here's my card, call me if I can help you or someone in the family. But with us, we've got Legacy. We can say, that's fine, Miss Betty. You've got plenty of insurance. And see, I'm agreeing with that objection that, oh, we've got plenty of insurance. I don't even know why I mailed the card and we don't need anything. But that's fine, Miss Betty. I see I'm agreeing with her right there. That's fine, Miss Betty. A lot of the people I visit with already have insurance. I understand. This other free information is showing you how you can save $4,000 to $6,000 on your funeral expenses. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to share the information you requested. Takes just a couple of minutes. May I come in, please? And then you kind of finesse your way in, and then you talk to them, and you talk about Legacy like we always do. And some of the times, the people will buy a small policy from you, not because they need insurance money, but they buy the small policy because that's what they have to do to get that great thing called Legacy. So they'll buy a small policy mainly so they can get Legacy. And that small sale is a sale that we make that the competition cannot make. That's why our agents are able to have a higher closing percent. We just need to use Legacy. It's a great thing. And sometimes it's easy to get lazy, especially in the field. In the house, you get lazy. You don't even play the video. You should always play that English video unless you're in the Spanish market. Play the video.
Yeah, Greg, I was going to say that right there, that 4 minutes is probably one of the most powerful parts of your conversation.
It is. It's very emotional. It's done by people that are saying the right words at the right time in the right tone of voice. And it's kind of like if you can't sell it, that recording can help you sell it.
Mhm.
And you let Miss Jones watch it. She's riveted to it. And when the recording's over, you kind of say, Miss Betty, it'd be nice if your family could say the nice things about you when your time comes, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And when I say wouldn't it, she's going to be, that's a tie down. And she's going to be like, well, yeah. Or she's going to be thinking, yeah. So, yeah, don't shortcut anything. When you sit down with a lead, or if you're on the phone with a lead, take the attitude like, this is the only lead I get this week. This is all I get. I got to make it happen. So don't shortcut anything, because when you shortcut things, that's when your results start to falter. Don't shortcut a thing. Take your time. Don't rush it. Have a nice conversation. Paint some mental pictures. Be down to earth. Get Miss Jones to laugh a little bit with you. Get her to kind of like you a little bit. And let everything kind of fall into place. And after you've done your job and done it well, which is having a great conversation, painting good mental pictures, explain legacy to the T, and review legacy again as needed. When you've given a world-class presentation, if Miss Jones don't buy, big deal. Hey, Miss Betty, I'm going to leave this legacy brochure with you. It's got my name and phone number right here on the back cover on the outside. If I can help you down the road, or a friend or family member, make sure you call me. And they don't ever call you back, but it's nice to leave it just in case that 1 out of 100 does call you back. But don't worry about it. You did everything you could to the best of your ability. Don't worry about that no you just left. You're focused on the next lead to see if the next lead's a yes or another no. If the next lead's another no, big deal. If it's a yes, write them up and go do the same thing. Go to the next lead, and then the next lead, and the next lead. And once you do 20 of those, without even teeing the lead, about 4 to 6 of those 20 is going to take out a policy with you. And if you tee the leads, it's going to be more like 5 to 8 or maybe 5 to 9 policies will be written. Over half the leads don't buy. Don't worry about it. When I first got started in 99, Mike Harper was my manager. He's retired. He was a genius at this business. I have the utmost respect for that man. But I talked to him this was like my first few months. I didn't really have anybody come up to North Carolina to ride with and train me. But I talked to him on the phone at least once or twice a week and just, asking him questions, et cetera. And I was kind of, I was disappointed, maybe a little mad. I was like, Mike, I don't understand. Person mails this card in for information. I go there, I give them a great presentation. I had a good warm up. I didn't leave anything out, yada, yada, yada. I didn't rush anything, yada, yada, yada. And they still wouldn't buy. What am I doing wrong? Or why don't they buy? I was mad. And he just kept saying, Greg, relax. Don't worry about it. Most of them don't buy anyway. Your job's just to go talk to the people, have a conversation, let the numbers play out. Some will buy, most of them are not going to buy, but all you need is a few sales to start making some money, good money. And so gradually, I kind of started relaxing a little bit. Like, well, they're not going to buy. I can't help that. It's not my responsibility. I'm on to the next lead because I'm on the hunt for the yeses. That's where I get paid, the yeses. So, don't let yourself get uptight. If you have a bad day and you make contact with 5 leads or 10 leads or 3 leads or whatever, they all turn out to be no's, don't let it bother you. Remember, if you got 20 leads and there's 5 sales in those 20 leads, the first 15 of the 20 leads could all be no's. And the last 5 could be the yeses. And if your deck of 20 leads is shuffled up such that the first 15 are no's, by the time you get to that 7th or 8th no, you're going to start looking at the leads and saying, these leads ain't no good. But the reality is the leads are fine. It's the same lead everybody else works. It's just that you've got to let the law of large numbers come to the surface. So see the rest of the leads and you say, oh, now I'm finally starting to find the sales here and there. It was rough going the first several leads. But, look, you just remember with 20 leads, you're going to get 4 to 6 sales with no teeing of the lead. But tee the lead so you can get 5 to 8 or maybe 5 to 9 sales. That way you make an extra $500 to $1,000 a week extra on top of what you're doing. If you're making an extra $500 a week or an extra $1,000 a week, extra $600 a week, whatever, think about how that will help your family budget. If you got an extra $600 a week coming in every week because you're teeing the leads, what's wrong with that? It doesn't take long to tee a lead. It's just next door. It's not like you got to drive 10 miles to go tee a lead. You take a 60-second walk to the next door neighbors and knock on the door and chat with them for a few moments and see if there's an interest. If there's an interest, they'll let you inside and you talk to them. If there's no interest, fine, I'm on my way to the next lead. Well, actually, I'm not on my way to the next lead. I'm on my way to the neighbor on the other side of Miss Jones's house so I can talk to that neighbor also. And after that, I'm on to the next lead. You know, new agents have to remember that the leads, they're not, you know, some agents think, well, they mail the card in and they think the lead is sitting at home with a checkbook open, waiting for us to come by so they can write us a check and take out a policy. And it's not that easy at all. Trust me. It is not that easy. If you got 20 leads and you go ask all 20 of them right up front, hey, you mailed the card in because you need some life insurance. I'm an insurance agent. Can I help you? All 20 of them will say, oh, we changed our mind and we've done something else. But once you kind of finesse your way into the house using the words that we share with you, and you paint some mental pictures, you have a conversation, you talk about legacy, they see the legacy video, then about 4 to 6, or actually 4 to 8 or 9 sales will happen that week that would not have happened if you didn't follow the program. And the program is don't use the word insurance at the very beginning because nobody wants to hear that. You know, if I'm door knocking a lead, and let's say it's the lead store, I knock on the door and I ring the doorbell both. They can hear the doorbell better, but if the doorbell's not working, I'm knocking on the door as my plan B. I do them both. Miss Betty comes through the door. You do not say, hey, Miss Betty, you mailed the card in for some insurance or life insurance, and I'm the licensed agent here to help you with that. May I come in, please? Oh, we've changed our mind, or now's not a good time. Call me next month, or some put off. The correct way is to knock on the door and ring the doorbell. When they come to the door, smile, be humble, be non-threatening, and say, yes, ma'am, I'm hoping you could help me. And their defenses start to come down. Yes, ma'am, I'm hoping you can help me. I don't know if I'm at the right place. I'm trying to catch up with Betty Jones with that free information. I don't say I'm trying to find Betty Jones. Some people, for some reason, they find it threatening. I'm going to say, I'm trying to catch up with Betty Jones with her free information. And then I zip it up. I don't say anything. And that person at the door, they're going to say, she's either going to say she's at work, or they may say, hold on, let me go get her. Most likely she's going to say, I'm Betty Jones. What kind of free information? And I'm going to use the same words I would say to her next door neighbor that did not mail the card in. I'm going to say, this is that free information about the Social Security death benefit, the high cost of funerals, and the state regulated plans. I also have the other information on how people all over North Carolina are now able to save $4,000 to $6,000 on their funeral expenses. It takes just a couple of minutes. May I come in, please? And usually that'll get you to the door. They're curious enough to hear what you got to say. About the only time it will not let you to the door is if they're saying, well, I got to go pick up the children from school, grandchildren in a few minutes, or I'm getting ready to go to my doctor's appointment. And then you just reschedule another time. And when you reschedule another time, they say, well, call me next week. Gosh, Miss Betty, I'd love to, but I won't be able to do that. I'm so sorry. You see, I cover the whole state of North Carolina. And I'm in Charlotte today and tomorrow. And anyway, it takes just a couple of minutes. You may swing back later today or tomorrow. And she says, well, tomorrow will be better. I'm going to say, no problem. What works best for you, mornings or afternoons? And she says, well, afternoon, because I sleep late. I said, okay, afternoons will be fine. Early afternoon or late afternoon. And she says, you better make it late afternoon because I like to watch my soap operas. I say, okay. Shall I swing by between 3:30 and 4:30, or shall I swing by between 4:30 and 5:30? Let her tell you which one. don't ask her what time shall I come by, because then she's gonna, gives her an hour. She's like, don't come by tomorrow. Call me in a couple of days or something. Give her a choice so that no matter which choice she picks, you win. Shall I swing by between 3:30 and 4:30? Or had you rather come by between 4:30 and 5:30? It won't take a couple minutes. And then she'll tell you the time, and then you got yourself a scheduled appointment. Don't say I'll be back at 4 tomorrow. Because if you're running late because of the previous appointment, or you're running late because you have a flat tire, or you're running late because there's an accident in front of you, or road construction, if you say you'll be there at 4 and it gets to be about 4:15 and you're not there, Miss Jones might think that you have forgotten about the appointment. She'll get up and leave the house and go to the grocery store or do something. And then you show up at 4:20 and she's not home, and you're irritated because she stood you up when you could have avoided some of those stand-ups by just saying, I'll be there between 4 and 4:30. Give yourself a 30-minute window. Or you could go a little bit further, say, I'll be there between 4 and 5. Who else has a question or comment or anything? Because I can ramble on if I'm not careful. Who has another question or comment about anything?
Hey, Greg.
Hey,
Hi, it's Marlo. I wanted to just say about legacy. As Ray was saying, a lot of people they think of Lincoln, because Lincoln does have something competitive to us, but Lincoln with their plan, it doesn't lock in the casket, the vault, and the headstone for any specific price. They can negotiate them, but they can't lock in like we can. They can't lock in the casket right at 2,000. They can't say to their clients that 5-10 years from now, this casket will only be $2,000. 20-30 years from now, this casket will only be $2,000. We're the only ones who can lock the casket in at that rate and the vault at that rate. So those are the things that you really want to really expand on, because you may run into some clients who want additional coverage. It's already got this, already got that. Or they say, I can get it from Costco's at $20, $2,000. That's true. But 10 years from now, Costco's not going to still be $2,000. Then when you go to Walmart, it's still not going to be $2,000, because inflation is going to take that casket price up, even if you are buying it at a discounted rate. But if you lock it in with us through Legacy, no matter how much time go by, it's still going to be locked in for that $2,000. And that's what you really want to stress when you're talking with the client about our legacy, because it is a niche. It is what separates us. It is what makes the difference in that final sale. And, when you're on the phone, you have to explain legacy. You're not actually can show the video. So you have to explain the real value of legacy and why this person, this client really wants to have this for their family. The value, you always really explain value and benefits. And when you get the person focusing on the value and the benefits and the value, then that client will say, hey, this company is totally different from the next guy. And this is why, I need to make this decision. And I tell them, this legacy assurance plan, this is what make us different from everybody out there. This is our niche. This is what sets us apart. And then they remember you better because of that. They remember legacy. Sometimes they remember seeing life, but that's the key. You really want to use legacy as your full selling point, because like I said, you can get insurance from anywhere. Just like a grocery store, you can go buy food for any grocery store. But what makes that grocery store different, and what makes that insurance company different? And ours is definitely the legacy assurance.
thank you, Marlo. And that reminds me, when you talk to Miss Betty about legacy, remind her, Miss Betty, and use some enthusiasm, not too much, but use a little enthusiasm and some emotion. And Miss Betty, we're the only company in America that has this program for our clients. There might be some copycats in a few years, but we are the only ones in America that has all this with our policies. Share it with her so she knows that we are the only ones that have it. And I'll remind everybody, legacy has these other features also, in addition to what Marlo shared with us, discounts on diabetic socks and diabetic shoes and hearing aids, and one free hearing exam every 12 months, 24-hour telehealth where Miss Jones can call the doctor from home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, rather than having to get dressed and go down to the urgent care center or whatever. All those little bells and whistles, all the final expense carriers have policies. It's just the air policies has some bells and whistles added to it to make it that much more attractive to Miss Jones. Anybody else have any questions or anything? Let me just follow up what Marlo said about telesales. On telesales, you cannot show that video, that little 4-minute video. You don't have one of those nice glossy brochures. So because of that, you want to take a little bit extra time, not a whole lot, but a little bit extra time to make sure you're thoroughly explaining things about legacy to Miss Jones so it really sinks in, so she really understands it. Because if she doesn't understand it that well, she's not going to appreciate it that well. If she understands it a whole lot, she will appreciate it a whole lot. And if she appreciates it, it's much easier for her to say, yeah, I think I will get one of these plans. But if nobody's got any other questions and comments, I hope everybody has.
And Greg, I
Yes.
will say, because I did come in late, I will say too, if you are in the field, please show that video. Do not walk out that house. Greg said it, Ray said it, but if you have the ability to sit in front of that client, don't walk out the house without showing them the video. I mean, you have to figure out a way how to get that video in, even if they say, well, I just don't have no more time. Just say, this won't take but another 3 to 4 minutes. And this will, I've explained it to you, but this will really visually show you exactly what we talked about. And once they see that video, it's basically a done deal. They're going to sign something. So I just want to encourage you. When I was in the field, definitely, there's no way you do any presentation without showing that video. It don't matter how fast they say, I got 15 minutes. That's all I got. With that 15 minutes, we're going to show the video first, and then we're going to finalize everything else. But make sure you get that video in.
Remember, emotions is what helps make a sale happen. If you're buying a car, you don't buy it basically that much on logic. You buy it mostly on your emotions. If you like the car, if you test drive it, you fall in love with the car. If it's a car you've been admiring, it's your emotion. Same thing with what we sell. People don't buy final expense based on logic. They buy it on emotions, emotions of the love they have for their family. Like, I do not want my children to have to struggle with my funeral. They can't even pay their own bills. How in the world are they going to be able to pay for my funeral? Those kinds of things. So just remember, when you go see the people, whether you see them in person or see them over the phone, you have a relaxed conversation. Don't be pushy. Make sure you just have, and the more you do it, the better you get. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you feel. But remember, hard work will beat talent almost every single week. That's just the way it works out. So if you think you're not that talented, you can still keep up with the big dogs just by outworking them. Don't worry about it. Just work hard. You'll be fine. This is Easter weekend. I hope everybody has a great Easter weekend.
Greg, I just wanted to let them know, say this too. It's all about that persistency. When they get ready to jump ship because the other guy's $2 cheaper, they'll be able to think of that video, but they'll be able to think of that legacy plan. Because you best believe somebody going to come down the road and tell them, I can get it for you $5 cheaper, or I can get it for you $10 cheaper. But you remind them they can't give you legacy. So don't let the next guy come by and snuff you out over $2 when you still have this legacy plan here that's saving you and your family $5,000 and $6,000. And that's why it keeps the persistency up. Because when people get ready to jump ship, if they can remember legacy, then most of them will stay on board just because of legacy.
Whoever talks to the most people usually makes the most money. Remember that. I guess that concludes the call. I think the managers, we're going to stay on the call because we're going to talk about this new lead system that the lead department is brought out. Appreciate everybody attending the call. Y'all have a great weekend. Today's a good day to catch people that are hard to catch because some of them will be off work. Same will be true for Monday. Have a great day, great week. Talk to a lot of people so the money will come in. Y'all be good. Thank you for attending.
Happy Easter, everyone.